saw the one. It just came through my feed. The one with the brush.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great one, dude. You got a great voice. That's a good song.
Oh,
I would listen to that song. I would listen to that song.
Thank you. It's a brand new song and a brand new genre for me.
Mm-hmm.
So typically I would sing Latin pop or Latin ballads. And I met a guy at a party that said, you know what's timeless and ageless and you can always do?
Mm-hmm.
What style do you think that was in?
Reggae? I don't know.
Yeah, reggae.
Was it really?
It was reggae.
Dude, you got to admit, I'm pretty intelligent.
You caught it because it's a hybrid. It also has a component that's called, I guess the studio engineer, he called it raga or raga muffin.
Okay.
So it's kind of a dance hall with reggae combined. And I thought it was just brilliant. And I'm really loving it. I made a second one. I'm going to go back and make a third one. But this one, I actually wrote the lyrics around it first. And then we made the track around it. So the lyrics are kind of personal. I don't know if I necessarily want to explain them. But that video, I like to practice singing every night. I do have a dedicated room for that, which is, it's got dance pads, got a disco ball. It's got all my audio equipment. Yeah. But that night, my kids wouldn't let me go upstairs. So I had to just do it. And I saw the brush and I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm going to get real with the people here. I'm going to show them what it's really like to practice singing or practice performing as a mom.
Yep.
And I was like brushing my hair.
I saw it. It was a cool video. It was a cool. I watched it like twice, and it was enjoyable to like hear it. It really was fun. Like it was a fun video. I enjoyed the lyrics. I enjoyed the beat. That's a good song.
Thank you.
I don't know, if that's like mainstream America, but that's definitely a niche. There's a lot of people who would like that song. A lot of people, and I bet that would, like, in a live setting, people would love that song.
Everything is always better live.
Yeah,
like, you would think that studio recordings are the best, and they are what they are because they have to be. I don't know if you want to talk about music, but I'm gonna talk about music.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
And bring up something that I recently noticed. So there's a TikTok trend going around where people are singing the harmonies to a Katy Perry song, right?
Got it.
It was discovered. I don't know if it was discovered, but it was noticed by some people who do music professionally that all of these are actually pre-recorded and then people are lip syncing to them. And people are losing the ability to recognize what live singing is. So now people are coming online and singing live without having anything, no effects, no reverb, no any of that. So I wanted to do the same thing with videos, just show like this is a day in the life singing. And while it may not be mainstream music, I think testing all genres, you got to do what comes from the heart, what feels good for you. And right now, that's what it is.
No, you have talent, and your dad was a singer of some. He was a. Could you? So I may use this. Well, we can cut in, but this I use all these for little clips. Well, tell us about your dad. What was his?
So when I was little, my dad was doing performances in Spanish. He was also recording. So keep in mind, this is like 1990 when everything was all analog. You had all live singers coming in. It was very, very expensive. So he had a very solid first album, which are all covers, but most people wouldn't recognize them unless they're from a Hispanic country for the most part. And he would go out and do live shows. And he traveled to Mexico, around California, Arizona, and I would go with him. And I did not know what was going on. In fact, I told my dad that I hated his music.
Really?
But I was a child.
Yeah.
So I was around maybe 6 or 7. I'm like, I don't like your music.
That's funny.
Then he made an album of original songs right after that.
Okay.
And I started to like it more and more, and he still did performances. And I helped him promote. So I did make a post on my Instagram showing where here I'm holding a sign with his picture on it. I'm 16 years old.
I saw that one.
And hey, I'm promoting Ernesto. My parents at that point, they didn't realize that I could sing or that I was even interested. My mom heard me singing in the exercise room when I was about 15 years old. And she's like, hey, you can actually sing. Like, yeah, I guess I didn't think about it that way. I never saw it as something to pursue as a career. That was my dad's territory. And now he's much older. He's still interested in it. Trust me. When I reposted that album for distribution, he was so excited. Can you send me the link? I need to see the link. Yeah. And I thought it was so well done. The instrumentals are so well done. Yeah. And the production was excellent. It was produced in California. Why would you want to lose all of that live instrumentation and those real vocals before Melodyne came into being? It was even before auto-tune. Okay. So all of that was just like a one-shot vocal, raw, and back to the like keeping things authentic.
Yeah.
What do people really sound
Yeah.
like in real
Yeah.
life? So he's since quit since, I guess, about 2008 or so. I did invite him to sing at a live show with me in 2014. And that was probably the last time he ever performed.
It was interesting because you think like some of it's genetics, but some of it's probably like learning it, being inspired by it, and like the repetitions of it can help you master almost anything, including singing. Although I'm sure there's a limit there, but
Yeah, I think it is interesting what seeps into your brain and what you're influenced by, but you don't even realize it because he
Yes.
surrounded himself with singers and musicians and studio people. And this was just a norm. But I didn't realize that it was affecting my unconscious, and
Right.
truly my unconscious.
Right.
It was sinking in there. And as far as technique, once I decided that I did want to sing, my dad had received some really great vocal lessons, which now is the mainstream, where this is how you breathe, this is how you articulate. And he taught it to me, and I've been using it ever since. So I'm pretty proud of myself because I don't have to overcome that hurdle at this point because I've been doing it since I was a kid. And yeah, that's just a small story about the evolution of things.
I feel like do you hear something out there?
I hear a da da da.
Maybe we should just see, because sometimes it can be picked up on the.
This music.
That's,
I think it is the music. You just can only hear some of the hum of it.
sometimes we've had people talk out there and it messes it up. So
Interesting.
okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, here we are.
Here we are.
Welcome to the Saving Humanity podcast, and we can cut this intro in, but we really don't need to because I think that was just a great way to start, and you're awesome. And
You're awesome.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for the invite. I appreciate it.
And where is your dad from originally, and what's your Latin heritage?
So all of my parents are from California. So
Okay.
My mom has passed away, but she was born in Los Angeles. My dad was also born in Los Angeles. They met in San Diego. But my dad is half Spanish and half Mexican, and my mom is 100% Spaniard.
That's pretty cool. Is she like Sephardic Jewish or something?
How did you know that?
There's a lot of, I've met Spaniards here that were Sephardic Jewish. It's not Ashkenazi. It's not the European one. It's the Sephardic.
Yes, correct.
mhm.
Yeah, I had heard from my half uncle that they have the Ashkenazi line on their side from
Wow.
my grandfather.
Wow.
But I don't know how that happened because, as far as I know, they're all Spanish heritage. But it could have to do with which part of Spain. So, my mother's family was from Catalonia, and the other side was more from the northern region. Don't know
How much? How much percent? Do you have any idea?
of the.
Like Ashkenazi and Sephardic, and
I don't.
that's just such a rare. Like it's just not a. I don't have any. I'm all Northern European, but
That's a good thing, though.
I think so. I'm proud of my heritage.
Those
I'm
are
not.
beautiful things.
I'm
Can I
not-
ask where?
Yeah, it's from mostly the UK. So 80% from the British Isles. So like England proper, which is like the more like London and like the Old English, like the Puritan types, and then like another third like Scottish, Scots Irish, which is just English from the Highlands. So sort of the ones who didn't like the king and wanted their own freedom, and then
We all want freedom.
I want freedom, and so basically the mix of those two, and then I've got German, Irish, Dutch, and so that's sort of just all Northern European, and I'm happy for my heritage. I think I have a pretty good IQ, and I think that's a big topic. But basically, we evolved in certain climates and environments, and some were harsher than others, and just different cultures had to undergo certain things, and certain cultures were set up in certain ways too, where we were like the Anglo-Saxons in England were invaded by like the Vikings, and that was like 1,000 years ago. So that was that was happening 800 something years ago. So my blood is that some of that Viking mixed with the Celts and the other people who sort of were in that territory, and it's a very fascinating thing, sort of how we are as people and how we evolved to things.
And it's a beautiful thing. But yes, even within a culture, they ended up having to faction off based on certain circumstances in history, not just climate, but what's the political climate at the time. So there are a lot of variations even within. And to be able to know that, it's hard to access that information about your own family history. I have documents from my mother's my mother's parents' travels from Spain to here. But without that, you wouldn't really have a lot of details, especially even into the even darker, deeper past. And I know they have those programs where you can look into it, but what's the level of accuracy there? I guess you'll always just have to wonder. But having some idea, it's nice to know.
I feel like, it's crazy because they can like predict like certain things that you're predispositioned for, illnesses, and also like lifestyle things, and sort of what like, your self-determination or your self-discipline, and all those things are higher or less in different groups because those groups were families. That's the one thing people may not understand about races, that races were families. They're tribes of people. So those tribes, a man would have many wives, he'd have a lot of kids. That genetic lineage would live on because they were capable of killing enough people to ward off their threats, and hunting enough and eating enough, and it's like Genghis Khan being like 80% of the Asian.
I love that. I love that. It's kind of funny, but yeah, that's why he was so successful in his endeavors and his takeovers. And yeah, everyone has some kind of connection there. So we're all connected.
We are. If you go back far enough, we're all sort of, we all go back to something. And it's amazing, like, too, like humans, we like mated with like Neanderthals. And
yes.
We have like Neanderthal blood. So yeah, they're not even the same species, and we were living near them, and
sometimes
that's crazy.
I feel bad knowing that it was the Homo sapien that caused their demise entirely because of they say it was the diseases that the Homo sapien had, and the poor Neanderthal they didn't make it.
I think it was like there was wars and conflicts. I think like we could tell stories and like speak, and they couldn't, and. But their DNA lives on because once we got near them, and they don't even know if it was as much conquering as much like we were all living together. And then at some point, and what they're learning now is like even like different tribes of like human races, like it wasn't always just conquering. It was like maybe we were living side by side, and then somehow we started mixing. And I mean, England itself has been overrun many times, and the Romans were there.
Oh yes.
Different, just people from Spain came up and conquered England, and
they loved conquering things, didn't they? The English and the Spanish, but there are others, of course, as well. They're just very prolific at it.
I feel like that's a whole thing, and I didn't expect to talk about this, and I don't really care that much about it.
Oh, we don't have to.
But the world, there are organisms right now who literally just live off other organisms, like. Everything in nature is like a host, and then maybe like a parasitic relationship. And like organisms are constantly feeding off others, and that's our natural state. Just the way it is. If like we're always looking for resources, we're always looking to reproduce. It's just our brains are wired for that. And now we're like enlightened, and in this enlightenment period, which is the post where men don't see things as like just war. That men now build basically things through business. This is what people don't understand. Like the default in human history is mass war, men getting tribes and taking over other groups of tribes. That's Africa. That's how the slave trade started. African tribes would go and enslave other African tribes and then sell them to the Arabs, sell them to the Europeans. But even among the Europeans, it was constant, and going back to when we were on the earth with the Neanderthals. And now we're a little more civil because we were like, hey, we can use our time and energy in a capitalistic society. We can compete with ideas and businesses. So instead of just going and pillaging, an enlightened society is one who has a business and a market-based economy where we can work together and build everything up. It's not going to be always equal, but it's way better than the default, which is why a free market and what true enlightenment, the enlightenment period is not letters. Like the enlightenment period is men went from fighting and having wars to building market economies, which is one of the greatest contributions Europe did to civilization, and people don't understand how great capitalism is because its default would be some sort of patriarchy that's going to take its place if you have collectivism, and it's just going to be a bloody mess, and it will just be other men going and getting other men to go take property. And so we're evolving past that with free markets and things of that nature. Now, slavery, and not just on racial lines, slavery, which was everyone has been a slave, that's been nullified in society, right? So we defeated the physical chains of slavery, but it came back like everything does. It mutates and comes back stronger. And now we're slavery relative to our minds. Our minds are being hijacked by our phone. And the same forces who want to sort of basically program and control, they've mutated to a higher paradigm of which we haven't figured out how to let that go from yet. So it came back 2.0. So slavery now is like a refined democracy where you just vote for your ruler, but they still control import prices like these tariffs. They still take your wages. They still, and so it's a whole thing where it's a least brutal. It's less brutal. Yeah. Perhaps, but it's still like if you don't pay your taxes, they will come with a gun, point it at you, and put you in a cage. And if you resist, they will kill you. So while we're a little bit more advanced, it's also that version of slavery has upgraded itself into a new form, which is some sort of harder to kind of understand. Yeah.
Dead on. I love the word that you used. You said mutated, because that is a mutation is kind of like a creation.
It's an advancement. Yeah.
And you can't necessarily say it's good or it could
be
bad, but it also, when something mutates, you really can't control what variations of that are going to come out as much as you want to. And it's good in that, yes, we stopped the wars in order to create these systems that we need for each other, and we have capitalism in its place, and we have businesses, but at the same time, where do we draw the line? Yeah. How do we control this mutation? How do we make sure that it doesn't overwhelm our psyches and it doesn't cause us to be destroyed, which I think does happen with things like the phone that you pointed to.
So crazy. Our brains are not able to handle it.
I don't think we're ready for it, or they're trying to get us ready for it, which may happen. But yes, I do see a disconnected world. I see a very disjointed way of thinking. I kind of wanted to bring up the fact that when people watch things like your podcast, right, it's amazing, it's sensible, but it occurred to me a while ago that people, when they're looking through media, they want to see a disaster. They want to see a freak show. They want to see something that gets their blood pumping, their adrenaline running. They want to see something weird, odd, devastating. And they're electing to discard information and vibrations that will be good for them in the long term in exchange for this
dopamine hit.
This dopamine hit, yes.
And we all fall victim.
We do. I mean, I scroll past it. I don't.
Well,
watch that.
I guess I should say like if you put enough in front of anybody, and even like self-development, like that can be a form of like, dopamine, where it's like, oh, I'm going to listen to the last podcast, even though you already know a lot of this information about like how to lower the acidic, pH balance of your body, but you just want to take it in because it's entertaining too, And
it's entertaining.
It's a very, but it's way better than like watching like the Maury Povich, who's the father, who is the father,
That went on for so long.
Exactly. That's like trash TV, and things are getting better, and like because we have. The media has been deregulated enough, like with the internet, that like a few people can't control everything, and it's made it where like even like alternative forms of media, like this podcast, can share things that like 40 years ago they never would even be a dream, even 20 years ago, 15 years ago.
It's true.
And so it's like the more deregulation we have, the more free market we have, then even those who are the healthier versions of infotainment or whatever can come and bubble up and
there's a space for people to have a voice. I think where some of the media still has its influence is where are we going to direct your choice to go toward. So if people are deliberately avoiding more positive things, they're probably also influenced by some of what they've already heard. Like, oh, well, we're going to go look at this. We want to hear about the wars. We want to hear about the protests. We want to hear about who was shot the
Right.
last week.
Right.
We don't want to go see inspirational
Exactly.
messages about
Correct.
how we can handle ourselves or improve our personalities. So there is still some guidance, I would say, maybe steering in that direction. But we all have personal choice. We can go the direction we want, or we can follow the direction they try to shove us in.
What is this? Just this thing that's really, I think, important. What is being like? What made you want to be a mother so much and keep having babies at an older age? And you have such a different. I know in Utah, there's some people have bigger families, but you're not of the culture here. So
I know, and I love this question.
Yeah.
I love that you've brought this up and you've asked me about it especially because there are, so speaking of the negative media, there are so many posts and comments, hundreds of thousands of comments from people talking about how it's so disgusting and selfish and nasty for people to want to have children. And they'll accuse you of so many things like, oh, you just want someone to take care of you when you're old, or you're bringing more children into a planet that's being destroyed. It's a terrible place to be. And I mean, I can acknowledge that life is hard and the world has a lot of things wrong with it. And to give more context for this question to be answered, I grew up in California, specifically the Silicon Valley. People there do not have kids, or they have very few. I'm an only child. My parents were attorneys. They worked a lot. I was raised by a nanny from Mexico, so that was important. A lot of my friends, they're my age or older. They don't have kids. They travel the world. They focused on their career.
Right.
And I absolutely respect that. I respect that conversation when someone says, this is a choice I'm making. They could be 22 years old and they're saying, this is what I want for my life. I totally respect it. But I don't feel like the reverse is happening because there's so many different reasons why they would say you should not have children. But I feel more context. I was married previously. I've been married 4 times.
Okay.
My first husband literally thought I did not want to have children. Don't know where he got that idea. My mom did say, wait till you finish college before you have kids or before you get married.
How old were you when you first married? How old were you when you first got
22.
married? Wow, you got married young.
Man,
For
Utah?
not for now.
Not
yeah.
for Utah.
Well, for not for back then, probably too, even across the country, but at least less.
Yeah.
But
young for California standards.
yeah, but now especially young for California standards, you know,
Exactly.
or wherever.
I don't know where he got that idea. I think he thought it was because I told him, hey, my mom said let's. So I did get married after I graduated from BYU. Yes, I graduated from BYU. No judgment.
Okay.
I think he got that idea from my upbringing as an only child, and then I also was going for my master's. He thought I didn't want to have children. Well, he never actually asked me. And a lot of friends from California, even family, they didn't think I wanted to because, get this, I didn't have experience with children. I don't have the motherly instinct, something that they would never have known because they never saw it. I was never exposed to children growing up an only child where there are no children to be seen. I didn't have the opportunity. So these assumptions, they limited me, and I feel like I would have wanted to have children at a younger age, but there were blocks. But I always wanted to have a large family. It's just something that no one ever asked me a question about. And I still want to have more.
I like that.
I know the whole older age thing comes up, but I don't believe it. And I think there are people jumping on that bandwagon saying, you're not actually done. You don't have to be because society says you can have very healthy children and they're going to be happy. They're going to be, you're going to be fulfilled. It's going to be a fulfilling life.
Right.
People will also blame the economy for why they don't want to have children. And I don't see any limitations. I see if you want to do it, you physically think you can, you feel like economically it's not going to cause not even a hardship. You can make it work, right?
100%.
You follow through with your passions and your dreams. And I told my husband this the other day. I said, ask me if I would rather travel the world or if I would rather have had my children. And the answer people would get that answer wrong. I mean,
Right.
I know I have 4 children, but I would
I agree.
absolutely give it up.
I could see
Absolutely
that.
give it up.
I could see that within you, and just in general, and like even the argument about like in the 50s, the baby boomers, people were having 5, 6 kids on average, way harder. Even though like there are housing prices and things that have been distorted because of regulations and, in my opinion, like government interference and cheap money that we have now, like to all these things have like made housings go up, but like still, we're way wealthier than we were in the 50s. Even the bottom 20% here. So like money is never an excuse. Like you can at least have enough to provide for a child to have food, and they can share rooms. They could do something.
Right.
Even the bottom like would never be that. It would never be economics in this day and age can never be the answer, because if they did it years ago in the 50s and 40s and 60s, I mean, come on, like this is so easy to.
And that statement is controversial in itself. You know how many people would argue with you as to that? Oh, it's very expensive to have a child. It costs at least $100,000 a year. Where are you getting these numbers? It does not cost that. What are you doing?
Right.
Buying them Lamborghinis? So what's
Right.
going on here?
Right.
So I feel like if you want to take accountability for your personal choices, do that. Say, I just simply want to focus on myself. I want to go to Bali, and I want to live there, and I want to have my time.
That's so true. I see these girls. I have friends that are, I have a lot of friends that are women, and they just like they're in Bali, and I'm just like, yeah, that's cool. Like it's always Bali too. It's always Bali, and it's crazy. And then also. It's almost like you're exterminating yourself. Like I'm thinking this way now as like a 38-year-old man who doesn't have kids, but mine was always I wanted to be like financially stable. Like I wanted to have enough money to where I didn't have to work again.
The whole logic.
Yeah, I've been investing since I was 21 years old, and I was in college football, so I lived all over. I wanted to get my career established, and now I look back and I'm like, if I had a 9-year-old son running around or a daughter, it'd be great, or 2 or 3 of them, and so I definitely was so careful to not like get someone pregnant. When in reality, I should have just been like, who cares, and
You want your babies, but
yeah.
Can I ask a personal question?
Yes.
Are you planning on?
Yeah, I am. I
To love children.
I do. I taught school for 3 years. I taught little kids. So I'm still teaching school, but I taught at elementary school for 3 years, and I think I have a good energy to be able to work with kids. I think the kids like my energy.
You'd be a great dad.
Mm-hmm. And I just haven't really found someone I wanted to settle down with or have a marriage with. And a lot of women want a marriage. They're not just, one woman I've known was okay with it, but I didn't know if I really wanted to have kids with her. And
to be honest, that's fair.
Yeah, and I could be, I guess, just trying to like impregnate people just as it comes up, but I haven't done that so much, and so I'm looking at being maybe a just co-parenting, just having like a prearranged. I think that might be the future anyway. It's just like co-parent with someone, have it like known that like, okay, we're gonna do this, because I think like you lose the joys of having at least being a parent because if you don't want to get married to someone, but you can co-parent with them, you can work with them. You don't have to just always do it the traditional way. And I think people are so fixated on. I'm not a fan of the government. I'm not a fan of religion per se, and like tying religion and government together and having it's really not even the religion as much as the government. I don't want someone to basically have half of my assets. I'm kind of weird about that.
No, trust me, I agree.
Yeah, and so exactly. So because I don't want that, I just don't want to get formally married, and and so I see things different than most. But I think I'll have some. I also, I've had some health things I've had to work through. But yes, I know I've become a member of some of those like donor sites, and I always get a lot of comments and likes and people messaging me. And I've got a pretty good, I don't know, like when it comes to the donor thing, if you can take like an IQ test or something, but, I've got enough good, I'm almost 40 years old, so I've got enough good things about me where I know like my genetics are good. So I need to help people who can't have a baby or who would want to. There's a lot of like lesbian couples on there too. They're like, looking for one, and I mean some people it's a whole crowd. I've logged into a couple just to see it, and it's pretty crazy. Like some people like will do it like artificial, but it costs like a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Some people are just like, yeah, we can do it naturally. I mean that's a far out thing. I haven't done that. I haven't actually gone through with that yet. It's very nice.
I kind of love all of these
agree.
ideas too, especially if we bring in the concept of relationships too. A lot of people are complaining about how relationships aren't working out. They lost half their net worth.
Yep.
They're living in absolute misery, or it's actually primarily women that complain about how terrible men are. And like, why are men terrible all of a sudden? I don't know what happened. Nothing's really changed.
Right.
So if you can't find that right dynamic, why should you be, well, married to it? And these alternatives are great, especially if you feel you have the capacity to do that. And heck, how awesome would it be to be a parent with like, say it's a lesbian couple, but you get to still be dad.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That concept is just so fun. So I hope
Thank
that
you.
something happens
You're
for
nice.
you.
You're sweet. Well, you have such a good energy, and you're right. And I'm still sort of figuring that part out. But I mean, there's a movement now among like the Elon Musks and stuff. They want to like the only thing that matters is having like as many kids as possible, because you want our birth rate low, and humanity to save humanity from existence, the birth rate needs to be at least 2.1, which is all valid. And so it's a very interesting thing, because at some point we've lost our way, and maybe that was conditioning. It definitely is now. I have so many female friends who are like, who'll post things, and it's like you're literally just extincting yourself, And then what happens, there's this whole generation of people now who will be single and 60 years old with no children. It's interesting to see how I wonder, and there's no judgment. You can do whatever you like, and we're all free people, and free will is a beautiful thing. So, and I'm pro-choice. I don't think, I think the government should stay out of, the right for a woman to if she wants to terminate a pregnancy. But I would say that it's very interesting, because you do only see one side, which is like, men are idiots, basically. Kids are terrible to deal with, and
that all can be occasionally true, but not 100% of the time. Men keep getting a bad rap for a lot of things that they either did do or didn't do, and it's not all men. Come on here, like, give them some slack.
I think like older women. Well, there's two sets of women that like I guess dated or been close with. That I've dated girls from like Brazil. And they're usually like just so much easier to deal with. They're nicer, they're kinder, they're more, I hate to say traditional, I don't care, but it is like they're just nicer to deal with. And then like older women, like when they get in their 40s, they're just way better, But it seems like women like between the ages like 26 and 25 and maybe like 33 or something, they've let that brain rot get in their brain, that propaganda to not have kids, to be almost like defiant, to be like it's a flex to show that you don't want kids, that you don't like men.
Yeah, that is newer. That is
newer
a
for
form
sure.
of brain rot. I was going to say, so when I was growing up, my dad kind of brainwashed me to be a certain way. He said, if you're going to be a woman in a relationship with a man, you don't want to be nagging, demanding, needy. You don't want to hold him back from his dreams. You don't want to control him. And the list went on and on and on. And like, I really took that to heart, because you wouldn't want to be that way to any human being, whether it's a man, a child, or whoever. And I'm like, I'm pretty low maintenance. I feel proud that I'm pretty low maintenance. And they didn't raise me to be traditional, but I want to be traditional. Sure, I got a master's degree and an MBA, and I was a professional. Those things, while great, I am not in love with them. I like having a family. I like singing.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's judging you for your decisions. You just have to do what you're doing. And forget what everyone else said. And sometimes someone will give you advice that isn't absolutely terrible. Like, don't be demanding. Just don't. Don't be controlling. Just don't. That doesn't work. But the rest of the brain rot, oh my gosh. Yeah, this is emerging in the last maybe 5 to 10 years. I don't even know how to process it, but people are
so weird, yeah. And men have done their own, where they just basically hate women. There's a whole subset of men out there who think that all women are whores, and
well, they're starting to earn the right to believe that as well. Can I tell you a story?
Yeah.
So I had an ex-boyfriend reach out to me to tell me something positive. And then immediately when I said I was setting kind of a boundary with him, he said, well, you're vanilla. Like, that's supposed to be an insult, right? And I knew for a fact that several of his girlfriends, ex-girlfriends, and himself had been involved in, OF stuff.
Okay.
And I said, thank you so much for the compliment, because I don't have an OF. I don't have, all over the internet. You know, this has clothes all over the internet.
Okay.
And I think people are really okay now with going in that direction, which sure, if you want to, that's you. Be proud of yourself, be happy. But why are people weaponizing the opposite? Why are you now a lesser person if you don't have an OF? Why are you a lesser person if you don't have nudes? I don't understand this. I want to be a conservative woman. Let me be.
You have such a kind energy. You're very outgoing, and I know you're just a cool person. How do you like when the ex-boyfriends reach out to you and they're texting and stuff? How do you keep that cool light energy and also keep boundaries? And look, there's nothing wrong if you were in an open relationship. Like I've been in open relationships, and like some people are. But what's the line? How do you be so free and then protect your energy as well?
That one was hard to protect my energy because he would reach out every few years. There's this specific boyfriend to say something positive and then counter it with something that he despised about me.
Oh.
So he would say, like, my energy it's not fresh fruit, it's Fruit Loops. That insult was rough. And at that time, I would defend myself. And I've learned over the years that you don't defend yourself to people. If this is what they're going to say, you'll say, all right, I understand your viewpoint. That's your opinion. And most recently, when he's reached out, I've simply just cut off the conversation. He'll come up with new profiles. And this is not something he does exclusively to me. I know there's another girlfriend he reaches out to be cruel to. And just let him say what he has to say. Like, I appreciate you reaching out to me. That's nice of you to think of me. But the boundary really is I don't care what he has to say. And this last time I literally took it as a compliment. So I'm going to live with that. I'm going to take that in my soul and be like, that was the best compliment I could have ever received. Thank you.
That's interesting. I've got other questions for you here, just things I wrote down. Music is part of who you are. When did you sort of realize that, maybe?
Let's see. Aside from practicing in the exercise room when I was a teenager, I was singing to Shakira songs from her first album. Ojos Así, I believe was maybe not her first album. It wasn't. It was the first one people knew about. My mom said you should record. So I went to the studio this is in Campbell, California. I was 18, and my dad said...
How old are you now, by the way? 47.
I will be 40 in June.
40. You're only 39?
Only.
Well, how old do you think I am? I'm 38.
You said you're 38. You said you were almost 40. But
I thought you were 41. I had 41 written down.
Oh. Well.
For some reason, I took a year. I added 2 years instead of...
Oh, I posted a couple of reels saying I went to Victoria's Secret Pink so that I could buy 1986 because that's the year I was born.
Okay, I didn't see that.
And everything says 1986 on it. And I'm like, I'm just going to celebrate 1986. Now everyone gets to know how old I am. I actually asked AI, can you guess how old, I use my stage name, how old is Makaria Elizabeth? How old is Marissa Villatova? How old is Marissa Macias? Because these are all my names, right? It didn't know. It said, we are guessing she's between 30 and 36 based on her references to the 90s. I'm like, oh, that's such a compliment. But now AI will know because there's content out there to give it away.
That's so cool. How were you when you had your first child?
I was old.
Finish your thought, but because you have two and two, so like.
So my first child was with my third husband. We were not married at the time. No judgment. It was an accident, and I'll be honest with the accident. So from the transition from that boyfriend that was reaching out, being terrible to me, he had a vasectomy.
Okay.
We break up. He literally drags me by the arms out of the apartment I'm paying for, throws me out the door because we had a conversation about I want to have children.
Got it.
And he said, I can never give that to you. Plus, the world is such a horrible place. I don't want to bring more children into the world. This is the year 2013, a while ago, before this started to become popular. So we argued constantly about children. I said, well, what about a reversal? We don't have to get married. So I'm in line with what you're talking about. Yeah. But I didn't want to give up on the concept of children because by this time, I'm 27 years old. I feel like I've already waited longer than I wanted to. I started dating a new guy, break up, date a new guy right away. And I tell him, I am not on birth control. It takes 7 days to work at least. And that's not even a guarantee. So, we're not even 7 days in. And it's what's done is done, right? I'm like, oh, I'm pregnant. My mom, I call her, I tell her, so I find out I'm pregnant, and she's like, well, you need to get an abortion. My mom did get an abortion herself. She's passed away, but she told me this. She aborted a child that she had because my dad was actually cheating on her, and I have no qualms saying this. She felt bad about that and regretted it every day of her life. Of course, it was her choice, but I wasn't going to do that. Just because she did it, just because she was encouraging it. I'm 27, almost 28. I want to have this child, and I've always wanted children. So I didn't want to get married. I'll be honest. I did not want to marry him. If he ever sees this, he'll be mad. But my mom arranged a wedding with him.
Okay.
I got married at 39 weeks and a few days, a couple days before baby was born.
Okay.
And that's when I had my son. He's going to be 11 in March. And after that, he said he didn't want to have more children. He actually already had 2 children from a previous marriage and a previous relationship. His oldest child is 26 now. And he said, no more kids. And I'm like, please, please, I want to have more kids. He says, okay, right? So then I'm pregnant again. This is not that much. They're a year apart, a little bit over a year apart. And he says, you need to get an abortion. And because the relationship isn't working, right? So I need to get an abortion. I did not, of course, get an abortion. And then I had my oldest daughter, who's 9. And he loves her to pieces because it's his only daughter. He has 4 children as well, and 3 boys, 1 girl.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was 31 when I had her, which is the same exact age my mom was when she had me.
Okay.
And that's the genesis of it. But yeah, I was 28, first child, or about to be 28. I wish I had been younger because I would have had more, but I don't feel like I'm limited in my ability to have more.
Right. Good. I like that. I like that you.
I'm very excited about this topic. So I'm
No,
glad
I
you
can
bring
tell.
it up.
And what was the sort of the moment that you realized music is part of who you are?
Oh yeah, back to that. Part of who I am. I know we're short on time, but context still matters. Context is important with this one. So because this is the year 2000 we're talking about, right?
Okay.
We're transitioning from analog recording to digital.
Okay.
My dad says, I will not let you record in the studio until you have perfected your vocals to the level where it's worth the price.
Okay.
He also said, I will not let you record in the studio because they would have to pay for it until you learn how to perform live.
Okay.
So you need to go have stage presence. You don't have to learn how to dance. He wanted me to. I'm working on it. I can post videos of me trying to work on it. Stage present, present to the audience, sing to the audience. Show you've got to be a showman because there's no money in record sales. Back then there might have been, but the money is all in the shows, right?
Got it.
So it was 2000 where I started kind of honing that skill. And it was actually so many years later before I put myself on the stage. It was 2010.
Okay.
Because keep in mind, I was married. First husband, didn't like it. Very, very Mormon. He's different now. Since I last checked, he's much more fluid with his belief systems. But he said a wife needs to be at home when her husband comes home. I'm not going to be okay with you going out and doing performances and hanging out with people I don't know. I also was doing acting at the time and modeling. He outright stopped that for many, many years. And I didn't get back on the stage until I was in a relationship with my second husband, who literally didn't care what I did. And I had all the time in the world. So 2010, I recorded my first single. 2012, released it. I re-released it in 2014, and then I just kept going the trajectory with releasing albums and music. And I'm not going to stop. Doesn't matter that I'm going to be 40. Not going to stop. I hope it's a new world where age matters less. It's not quite there yet, but that's the plan.
Where did you meet the third husband? Just in between. Where was that? Could you?
These stories are really good.
Okay.
So first husband, I'm going to tell you, he came from ldsplanet.com back when there were no apps and it's just the internet.
Okay.
Second husband, I was asleep and my mom was on the computer pretending to be me. And she wrote to this guy and I was half asleep. I'm like, Mom, no, don't write to him. I don't like him. I don't want that one. She sends him a message and she's interacting with him. She's writing to him. And she's like, I found you a new boyfriend.
That's funny.
And so I meet him in real life, and he's actually a really clever, cool, savvy guy. Unfortunately, at the time, he was an alcoholic, and I didn't know it. And he was also using other drugs, and I didn't know it. I'm still friends with him. So if they ever see this podcast, I'm friends with his wife.
Okay.
this is all factual information. I left him because his drug addiction problem was hard for me. I felt very neglected and ignored. He also wasn't interested in having children, at least not at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He does have kids with his new wife, and they're beautiful, and I believe they're very happy. So then third husband, third, I got to keep these numbers straight.
Yeah, what's the one that you're...
Plenty of Fish.
Oh.
So if you hear stories about people hating these certain dating apps, I've met so many people off of dating apps, married him from Plenty of Fish, told him the whole story. And the story gets even better and more complicated with this one. My future third husband was working at the same place as my second husband while we were still legally married on paper. Got really weird.
Wow.
But my current husband, I actually met him in real life on my birthday. An ex-friend invited me to go out just to celebrate because I wasn't going to. And he was there in person. So this is literally the first person I have ever dated and then married that I met in the real world. Everyone else was from the internet. That's an old way to say it. Or apps, I guess.
Yeah, I know, because I feel like our generation, because like now it's like people aren't, I feel like it's probably like friends groups now or social circles now is how most people, but like,
Much better
but like Tinder was pretty strong, but those apps, they say people are getting off those now.
I think the failure rate is pretty bad, especially, so you say women, like they want to get married. If they're looking for marriage, those apps are absolutely not the place, not a decade later from when I started using them. Before, people had different objectives with the brain changes and the aspirations society has, and women's changes with feminism, and I need to be an independent woman.
It's crazy.
It's all different.
It's very interesting. Even like, because we're at the same age, and just growing up like 20 years ago, women did not have the same view they have now. It's really crazy to watch it in real time.
And how do you process that as a man?
Well, that's a good question. I don't want to tell you.
You can think on it.
Well, I just have just gone all in and just like kind of gave up on ever trying to find someone to marry and just like date a lot and meet people all the time. I'm always meeting people, which you kind of know. Yeah. And when you do that, you date who you want to date, and you kind of don't worry about it because you just are always meeting people. And then you do that enough, but it does make you a little bit of a nihilist. I mean, I used to think like, oh, you got to get married and have a kid, like you'd want the traditional thing. But then women don't really respond to that. Like when I was in my early 20s, I was like more traditional man and would not, like I was a virgin until I was in my early 20s, and that's not really what women want. And then I just started socializing, going up and talking to people, going from there. Then I just started dating. I've dated women from 20 years, probably age 20 to 50, and everything in between, and just started socializing and meeting people. I've lived in all over the country, and because I'm willing to just go up to people all the time. And I don't like if someone's married, although I have like had relationships with married women, but like it's within reason. Like I don't look at somebody and be like, oh, I'm gonna, like, it's just, I'm always sharing, I'm always meeting people.
You're like, I'm gonna steal your woman.
No, I don't. It's bad karma. I don't do that. I don't do that at all. But also it's just not, but I mean, cheating in some places is so common. Like it's almost more common than not. I mean, and I've never cheated on anybody, but I mean, so many married women, and I think part of it is they're not happy in their relationship. But I mean, I've had, I'm a 38-year-old man who's been single. Like single, maybe I've dated, but I haven't been married. Mm-hmm. You have got some stories, you know that, and so just living like that, I kind of just like gave up on like traditional woman and just kind of like, well, I'm just gonna date around and not worry about it. And so then I became like, I was like open relationships. I was like, I'm not gonna be committed to one person. I'm gonna just date around and have casual relationships. And then I kind of went through that. But I think seeing how women responded to that kind of behavior as opposed to like when I was traditional made me that way, because when I was more traditional and was like, tell a girl I like her, it would be a turnoff, and
they discarded you.
They discarded me to at least to a large degree. So then I just started like dating around different girls, and it's like, I mean, the fact that like a man my age can date like 20-year-old women, and it's like happened multiple times.
You're not that old.
No, but it wasn't common when we were young. If it was common, I don't know.
Right.
That now it's pretty common. Yeah. Like 20-year-old girls will date like a 35-year-old man all the time.
I'll date a 60-year-old man.
Yeah, and women your age, women our age date 60-year-old men like it's nothing. Well, for the most part, a lot of them do. And which I actually think is great, because if I was 60, I actually think that's beautiful. I actually don't think age should matter. I don't think, and especially like if a woman, like, why, who cares, you know? But you know, as I've kind of gotten older, not that I'm settling down, but I there's so much there, because I've had enough like little brief interactions where I've like met girls and then maybe had a, you know, an adventure, so to speak, like a
Escapade.
And then I've had to cool it, because I'm like, man, I don't want to get like a sexual assault charge, or someone say that, oh, I didn't really want to do this or do that.
Well, that's society today. Yes.
Luckily, I've never had it, and I don't plan on having it. And of course, everything's always consensual and all that, but it's just when you don't know someone that well, and at the frequency of which, me being single for so long, it's, you know, it was where now I'm like, I actually had to tell myself that not too long ago. I'm like, man, I've got to chill out, because I don't want to, you know, have anything happen and be an issue. And as a man, even if it's, of course it's not true, and even if it's proven, it can still hurt you. And so I don't really know. I don't know where all that stands. I mean, there's every truth is a half truth. I'm not perfect either. But I used to really be kind of more like a conservative kind of person, at least in the dating sense. Mm-hmm. But that just doesn't work. I mean, women, at least at that, they didn't respond to me, as opposed to when I was just dating multiple women. And women now don't even want a boyfriend. A girl would much rather just have someone that they're, you know, seeing casually than they are a serious relationship. At least most of the women I know.
Right.
I mean, which is crazy.
Shift.
Now that changes with age, but like you meet like a younger girl now, and you know,
and that's what they're like, because I don't interact with them. I don't know, obviously. Like I was trained in a different sort of way, and I'm still that
agreed
way.
I see that, and I think when I meet someone like you, I know that, like, the thing is, most women your age don't want to have kids. So like,
I noticed that too.
Are they already married or something? You know,
right,
you
right.
know that. So
I wasn't going to get married again. I actually promised that to myself, but then, you know, I broke my promise.
Well, you know what? You have a very kind essence. You're nice to everybody. You just have a good energy about you, and I think at some point, and this is from like the man's perspective of what it looks like. But if I was a woman, I mean, the amount of narcissism that we have in our society because of our phone, because of so many things, it's just as hard. And there is no great way to do it. What I would say is, like, instead of vilifying your exes, which you haven't done, people need to take more of like your approach, which is just like, thank God that they gave me a baby. Thank God for the experience. It's hard when you live with somebody for a long time. It's hard to always, you know, it's just like our brain. There's a thing called the reticular activation system, the RAS. And when we focus on something and we think it's good, and in our brain it's like, okay, this is a good bottle of water. But then as soon as you tell me that this water has something in it, that's all I can focus on. Now everything when I taste it. And as a coping mechanism for being able to move past people, women especially, their RAS will flip. And instead of thinking about all the good things, it's easier to help them cope if they just think about all the things that were negative. And then it gets built up to where, like, this person's a horrible, evil person, but it's a RAS flip. And it goes back to like evolutionary times when a woman would have kids with a man, and then another tribe would come in, they would kill the men and take the women with them. And the women had to have a short memory. And so women are very good at compartmentalizing and basically turning something that maybe wasn't as bad into something bad to help them go on with their life, you know. And but also men do. I mean, men are, you know, I think about this with men. How many men would I trust with my money, with if I had a daughter, or around my girlfriend I was dating? I mean, men have no. Men are so lazy. Will always take the easy way out. Will sell out other guys if it means having sex with a woman or some sort of. I mean, men have no. You know, men talk about women, but men have no. I mean, the whole Epstein Island thing. How many men would do the same thing? I mean, the same people. Like I might be a little different because I go out and meet people, and I'm always socializing. Mm-hmm. Now, when you do that, you don't have to like prey on the person who's married. I don't have to, because I can go meet 7 other people within an hour, and I can go date somebody or hang out with somebody I want to hang out with. But most men who aren't going to do that, what are they going to do? They're going to be working with you, and they're going to get weird, or they're going to do, like, most men judging others like Epstein or the guys who cheat. they would do the same thing. I mean,
I heard that, yeah.
I've worked with men. I've seen it before where I'm like, because every truth is a half truth. Some of the things that they raise about modern women, but it's like, dude, how many women? I mean, how many men would I not trust around my daughter, my girlfriend? If it was money, if it was them working for me,
Probably way too.
a lot of them, a lot of them. So you see it how men weasel things and do things, and so we've definitely, and I'm not perfect myself, but I think when we embrace hard things and try to know that we're one brick in a bigger layer of bricks, it can help.
Right.
But the level of narcissism and people who will do things for their own benefit and kind of fuck over everything else
I have a hard time with
is
that.
so high,
I agree with you absolutely.
I mean, women have their own thing. I mean, so some of your exes, I'm sure, cheated on you or did this and did that, and you're like, how, and but because it was there for them to do it, and they just want to do it,
Yeah.
And
Sometimes
so-
it's just about the fun of the game, right?
Which is fine if you're in an open relationship or if you're casually, I'm not, because we're here in Utah where it's like heavy LDS. The natural state of man, like 100 years ago in Utah, but maybe a little more, but also in the United States, was like polygamy. Like throughout human history, one man had many children with a lot of different wives. That was how we were. That was just the natural state of things. If you read the Bible, if you read, literature from 400 years ago, and now we've made it where it's like, that would be weird or something. But that's kind of the natural state of man, I mean, men have an evolutionary instinct
yeah.
to procreate with women at a very high rate because we have we have unlimited amount of sperm,
Yeah.
and it produces itself all the time,
Right. It's always
and
there.
then it's always there, and then so it's like our first instinct isn't like, oh, what do our zodiac signs align? Ours is like, I want to inseminate, and it's not like we're not like pleasure seeking people. It's like in our DNA, we survived as a man being like the most brutal murderers of whatever tribe we were in. So the ones who were left standing, which is us, and then we also survived because the men were like, all right, I want to reproduce, and so it's a constant thing where you guys only have a certain number of eggs, and then we have the sperm, and then so men are constantly looking to do that. So it's a whole like so much of our behavior is instinct and evolutionary
Yeah.
that we don't even think about it. But like we think we're doing it from like some, planned out thing,
yeah.
but it's really like biology and like evolutionary psychology. Like those two things are natural biology and evolutionary psychology. The people who exist today evolved from the people who had certain behaviors, which means those behaviors are innate in us. And now here we are, we're like, oh, we're Christian or we're this or that. It's like, women and men work together at the hospital, and this is equal. And it's like, well, there's going to be some sex happening because that just happened. And so
Right. Like I can't help it. That guy was very attractive.
and that's not necessarily a horrible thing, but and the difference is I'm willing to just say this kind of stuff, and I kind of how we met, and like I'm willing to just, but at least I don't have like the weird manipulative behavior to try to do something. Like I can totally be friends with women because I can meet women all the time.
Right.
I don't have to just like be like, oh, this one person I'm working with. It's like, no, I can. But now here's the part: I date a lot of I'm socially date casually.
Yeah.
So then that's the downside is I'm not really looking for a serious relationship.
Yeah.
But I can be friends with women all the time because I don't have to have sex with them.
And that's wonderful. But
Yeah.
you don't have that conquest mindset where, like, I'm going to fixate on this person that isn't available. Maybe
Correct,
doesn't want me.
correct.
I'm going to go for it, which I think people see that as a man trait where I'm going to conquest and I'm going to take over where I shouldn't be because this is what I do as a man. And then women have had an opposite reaction where they're going to say, we're not doing this anymore. We're going to just cut men out of our lives. We don't like how you're behaving, so we're going to treat you differently. So yeah, all the tables have turned.
To me, the worst kind of way is when you pretend to be something, and then you flip it around. Like how many women has a guy been like, oh, I want to be your friend, and then he still like, gets a hard on and tries to do something, and so that's the most manipulative. Where at least like if you like me, I don't really date serious. I'm not necessarily looking for a serious relationship, and I can meet people all the time. I meet them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I can date girls of all ages. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then I can have friends like you, and it can be a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So I think as bad as men say women are, but behaving in our modern society, I can also see the behavior from men, which is like I wouldn't leave if I had a wife. There's very few men I would trust around them, or not trust. It's up to the woman, but it's very few men who I think wouldn't try to just have sex with them or take money from me, or would not do something scrupulous if it meant some sort of gain for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think men have a lot to answer for as well, and so I have a couple more questions for you, and then we're almost done.
Okay. I have one comment,
yes,
though.
yes,
I
yes,
wanted
yes.
to say. So I was watching your video
Mm-hmm.
on, it wasn't a podcast. It was just a video of you talking about how you learned and evolved to be able to chat with other people and just meet people randomly, and with some advice on how you can do that as well. I left you a comment. I want you to read it. Send me a message back and tell me what you think, because it's from a therapeutic perspective, because I did used to be a therapist. And just really briefly, when you put out those vibrations, you put out very good vibrations. That creates that feedback loop. I'm going to give you back good vibrations.
Correct.
You're going to give it back to me.
Yes.
And that anxiety is going to start to go down. So for the person who's afraid to meet new people, you've essentially, if you start out that way, you're going to get the feedback you need to bring that anxiety down. So read the comment, because I left it on your YouTube. I want to hear your thoughts a little bit more in depth on that.
Did you want to talk about that even in the next 30 seconds? Is that something that you would like to?
We can. So go ahead, because it starts with how you approached me and how you approach people. I was actually very impressed, because I used to have clients. I worked with social anxiety specifically because I think it takes a lot you have to overcome your own social anxiety in order to be able to help people overcome theirs.
Yes.
And I would always explain to them, well, you do have to experience the anxiety of making the approach. You enter into this situation as if you do have control over it, which that's not true. Maybe you don't have any control, but you have to believe that. So you're kind of manifesting yourself into that action, but it's all in your brain. Then you put out that positivity, because your brain is already in that space. That person will most likely, I'm going to say 90% of the time, respond positively.
I think so. You're so smart at just how you are, and it makes sense that you're doing therapy and you help. And I don't have it all figured out. I would say your neurons speak before you do. So like basically our neurons communicate, so people can feel your energy before you say a word. I would say I genuinely just love to share, and I don't need a reaction from anybody. It's fun for me just to create like expressions and speak and connect with people. And then when you do it enough, your brain, like you said, you get that feedback loop. It's a high. Like for me, and I don't want to
and it's automatic for you.
It's
right?
automatic.
If you ever had that as a barrier, which I don't know if you ever had, you've overcome it entirely.
Well, and there are days like, because I work from my job now. I teach school, but it's virtual. And then I work with adults with disabilities in person. I do that at least 40 hours a week. So I'm always with people. But sometimes if I'm like 5 or 6 hours at the house working on something on the computer, it's very logical, analytical thinking brain. Then I got to go out and work with people. And that's not logical at all. Interact with people. That's more, especially women who are like a younger, like I don't look at just younger. I don't look at like 26-year-old women, but like I talk to everybody. But like sometimes, especially like in a club or somewhere like that, people just have to have fun. You have to like let go. And so it's just all about letting go. It's about releasing, and it's about losing the need for some sort of, like you said, reaction or control. It's really about releasing the need for control. And if you can release it and tap into it, and then your brain also just gets a high off of it. Like I love meeting people. I don't have to, like I'm curious, I'm intrigued. Not everyone I meet, even if someone has a nice outer shell, I don't have to pursue if they're married, if their energy's bad. If someone's energy's bad, it's done. I don't care what their physical outer shell, it doesn't matter. I don't care if there's somebody who could help me financially. If someone's energy's bad, I've learned, just go. Don't even mess with it. It's not worth it. In the end, it'll just be horrible. So I'm kind of curious. I go up to people, I share freely. I have no judgment of myself nor of their reaction. So whatever they're going through, I don't know. And so I have no expectations of how they'll react. I don't judge myself or them. I just share freely.
Yeah.
And if you do it enough and you're tapped into it and you really are just so non-reactive to whatever they throw at you, people find that attractive. It does become something that people are like,
I love
what?
that non-reactive to whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I think you should continue to talk about that more because that's very helpful to the people who do struggle, and then they're isolating themselves because they don't know how to move and feel in the world. So I would encourage you to continue to talk about that.
Yep. And then like and if you do it enough, you get like feedback too. Like I can tell like when I met you, like, oh, you're married, you're this, that. Well, we can still have a great conversation. We can still be friends. You have to have enough social awareness not to be like weird. Like I
love that word.
Yeah,
Really
because that's
weird.
because like as a man, you still have to realize there's a dynamic of you being a man. And if it's a woman or if it's a man, there is a little bit of now I talk to everybody, man or woman, young or old, doesn't matter. I talk to everybody because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So someone's outer shell is irrelevant. I'm going to talk to you just like I would a 65-year-old man. I'm going to talk to it doesn't matter because number one, you can see through that. And also it's just how you do one thing is how you do everything. You're always training for the big show. No matter what you're doing, you're always training for the big show. So if you want to be expressive and carefree, and the only way that you're going to have people even want to, connect with you is if you don't need anything from them. If you literally are just sharing from source, and then they're like, okay, this person, he actually gets it. And part of it is if you don't have some sort of weird neurological impairment, or you don't have some sort of, if you don't need anything from them, that will actually elicit more of them wanting to learn more about you, and especially like in today's world with social media and stuff, it's like people, like I'm sure you are bombarded with messages from people. And so you're not going to, necessarily, you sort of have to be so centered in your own ecosystem that like you can pull people towards you and not, and just love to share and love to expand and not be so outcome oriented to, it's like the guy from the Lord of the Rings where it's like my precious, like he's you kind of have to just share freely without wanting anything. And
it's very obvious when that happens.
Yeah, and then people will know, like smart people too, people that like you want to connect with will get like, okay, this guy's on a different wavelength, and then especially like when I don't like send weird, like if I connect with a person and I don't get weird. Right. That right there is like 90% of it.
Well, you establish yourself as safe within a very short time frame because especially in this this environment where people don't talk to each other, they won't even look at each other. You're saying hi immediately, right? It's a red flag. This person could be weird, but whatever your strategy is, you're establishing yourself as a safe, non-weird person within a very short time frame, which is working for you. That's how you know so many people. So, I mean, this would be great to package and help other people through
clients. I am helping a couple people, but
that's great.
I should. I have one of he has a business here, and he's like, you got to scale this. You got to do something with this. And I really love people. I love helping people. Men are so disparaged upon now with social media, but also like in the world, I hate that. It's
That's
crazy
hard.
being like there's nothing worse in society's eyes than like a white male.
I know, and that's rough for me, and I'm not a white male.
I know, and yeah, you're a Hispanic woman.
Yeah.
And what has Hispanic culture been like for you here in Utah? What was it like having that sort of California Latin culture? Obviously, Spain and Mexico, but it's pretty common here in Utah too, right?
It's common, but I'll be honest. You have a lot of Hispanic friends. I can tell. Yeah. I'm not generally accepted fully into their culture. Okay. So I do spend the majority of my time with white culture.
Yeah.
I love Hispanic cultures of all types, but I only get this far. And it's because those people were born there. They're native language speakers. And where I grew up as well, it was predominantly white. So I wish I could give you a really great answer on that. But that probably jades my view on why I don't hate white men. Right? I should hate them according to today's standards, but I don't. I grew up.
Who is? It's got to be a white man or somebody like preaching that for. Like it has to be some sadistic. This is like Yeah, it's a whole thing where it's like what is are we headed toward like this civil race war? Is it like an organic thing where people of color just hate whites?
No, we don't, and I know a lot of people that are of color and they don't, and I think you know people of color who also don't.
Of course, yeah.
So I think
So like who is the catalyst trying to teach this kind of hate? Whenever you have identity politics and you say this group of people, the Jews are the problem. You see it now with Jews.
Oh, I hear that.
Like the Jews are taking over the world. Look, the Jews might influence our foreign policy, and we should not support Israel, Ukraine, or any other government. We should support the people here. That's it. We have to.
America.
That's number one. So they may have an influence, but to think like a European tribe of people, which is like Ashkenazi Jews, are somehow infiltrating, are trying to sabotage you. The biggest enemy we have is ourselves, our own discipline, our own mental carelessness about our time. That's way more than like some white man or some Jew. But it's just identity politics. And if you just go after people who you think are successful or are colonizers, then you're just going to breed more resentment back. And I'm serious. I think I hope we're not heading toward a racial civil war. But it's pretty hard to ignore. And now you have men, you have white men now, the ones who aren't dating women, they've got nothing to live for. So like there's like 3 to 5% of men, white men who would love to just take up arms and have a race war. And then there's very aggressive blacks. I've met very aggressive blacks who think they're just vilified, that the whites went in Africa, that they don't even know the history of Africa and slavery, like not only of world slavery, but like African slavery, like African tribes went and enslaved each other.
They got their own people and
exactly,
yeah, they brought them out.
Yeah, because everything was a war there, and so they just wanted. Those people would work for them, grow their food, and then they would be the soldiers and go capture more people, more resources. That's why Africans have such the muscles and the speed and the strength, because they've been at war for so long. And
beautiful culture, talented people, very, very strong. Can I make a comment about a race comment?
Sure.
It's not about, it's about racism, but I in these last moments, I want to give you my experience of how racism, I feel it today. I grew up obviously around predominantly white people.
Sure.
Never had an issue. Okay. Never felt like people were racist against me.
Yes.
In today's era, I think it's part of the brain rot that is occurring. I feel like it is being perpetuated primarily by white women. So, you can just remove this if that's the point. But I had made a post where I was talking about I've never felt so racially discriminated against in my life, except for when these white women, they're coming out and they're saying, I'm going to use my white privilege to help you. Oh, yeah. Watch out. Your last name means you'll be next. ICE is going to get you. I have had 2 good friends, one of which denied it entirely. It said, I'm so worried about you with ICE. My other friend said, you're the most Hispanic person I've ever met, Hispanic-looking person I've ever met. Are you okay? I'm so worried about you. And I'm like, you're going to use your white privilege to protect me. I mean, I don't mean to sound like an a-hole here, but an upper middle class person from the most expensive region of California. Right. You're going to try to protect me from being abducted by ICE. And another comment I got from someone that I won't say who they are and how they're related to me. They said, you were the single child of 2 Latino yuppie parents. Your parents raised you wrong. I'm like, wow, like that racism is rough. But every single one has been a white female. So I don't know what's up with that.
I would say the people who have done the most damage to me or trying to hurt me the most were also white females.
Can we just say that? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Is it fair to just put that out there?
I would say that's fair. I mean, because I've got definitely had some, physical altercations with people of all races, but just in general, the meanest ones who took it to the darkest levels were white females.
I don't know.
So and not that many. I love white women, and I don't.
I do too. I love white women as well.
And
they're my friends. But when I hear them online, or some of them I know are saying these things, I'm just in absolute shock. That they'll say educate yourself on the situation. I feel like they're missing a piece because they're not interacting with us POCs as much as they probably should to understand that we're not all the same.
I see a lot of people too, because there's a movement to maybe go to South America and marry a woman down there and bring her back. I actually don't agree. You don't have to do it. I think you should just meet people organically and all that. But I did like, because I do events and stuff, and sometimes I invite people to them. And when I go through my list of people that I'm connected with, then I keep seeing like Hispanic women, and I'm like, what is this trend that I have? Like, what is this? Is this like more about me and my? And some of them have been on the podcast. Some of them I've done like videos with, and I'm like, I think I have a problem. It's like every other name is like Garcia, Sanchez, Mendoza.
Right. They're just like, we know what you like.
I'm like, man, is this really me right now? I've been thinking like maybe it's because I'm out here in the West, maybe it is, right. And like, but like it seems to be a thing where it's like, and I think like for men too, it's like a niceness or traditionalist that comes with like the more Hispanic culture. I think that we like that. I think we like that feeling like, oh, this person doesn't, because even like, because I've dated like Hispanic women, like were either Brazil, which they're not Hispanic, but like Latin women that were from Brazil or Colombia, or like either anywhere. And
you're also bilingual or trilingual.
A little bit. I speak a little, and Mexican women. I've dated Mexican women, and then I look at them and I'm like, this doesn't add up, because I look at me. And I look at them and I'm like, do they know how attractive they are? But then like maybe they're looking at me, and because it's like a different set of them, they're like, oh, this guy. Because I've had like this Brazilian girl who's like she was like, yeah, I told my friend you look like a Greek god, and I'm like, that's not me. I don't know what you're talking about. But
that's
like,
a great compliment,
but like she's only lived in America like 5 years.
You take it. You're just like,
yes, and she's younger and hasn't lived in America. Like she's still learning. And then, like in her mind, like a gringo was attractive, and then because I think to myself, like, because like when you're with like a Colombian woman, you're like, is this like? Do you see what I'm seeing? Like, because I can look in the mirror and like there's no,
right.
but maybe that's like. They say that our immune system, like what we find attractive, is like related to our immune system. So like if somebody complements your immune system, you find them attractive, which is why like racial, there can be really strong attraction between different races, because it's like, oh, they have something that complements me in from like an evolutionary, like if I had offspring, it's like, oh, I can mix with that person, and then my children would have a good genetic makeup, and so maybe that maybe there's something to that where it's like because otherwise if we kept having like if we kept mating with like this, because like Ashkenazi Jews have this problem where they have like a high level of like problems because of the inbreeding that like had to happen, because they like couldn't date outside of their own race.
Right. They need that maternal lineage to
stay. And what'll happen, and the Mormons here too, because it was a very homogeneous culture, and because like several men had like a lot of people here, that it was like certain diseases were in Utah that were like in nowhere else, and like so like one of the things to like keep humanity healthy is like mixed races, which was a theory behind like mixing races in the beginning, was like because it keeps us healthy. So it's like we have to constantly mix, because we can't just like continue to like unwind. We have to diversify the immunity, and it's not like the immunity of like our molecular cells and things. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I love those concepts.
But it's also true, because it's like I'm very Northern European, and then like I yeah, it's so weird. Just
get the Latino women interested in you. I have seen the opposite, though. I've lived with 2 Colombian women. I try to set them up on dates with white guys. I've lived with South African women. White guys, they were like, no, he's not attractive. I'm like, what? I thought they would. So I made an assumption that they wanted to have this diversity in their dating, and I was wrong. So I think it has also to do with your individual upbringing. They wanted to date other Latino men, and that's fine. And
I've looked at this numbers on this. I love numbers. Like the most common one is like Asian women will date outside. So Asian women will date white men the highest, and then it's like Latin women will date white men. They still marry Hispanic men like slightly more, but they marry white men a lot more than like white women date outside their race the least. So there you go. So if
they all want to marry Bad Bunny, though. I keep hearing this online too. They're like, he's so hot.
I'm pretty sure Hispanic women do too.
I
feel like he's it's weird how like the that's why because evolutionarily, when you get to like Bad Bunny's, if this was all a tribe, he's reached such a high level of ability to connect with people, and like everyone knows him, that he must be the leader of the tribe, which means he has good genes.
Right.
And so with social media, it's
these women are going crazy. Like, he's handsome, he's successful, he's tall, and old, young, whatever, from every race. They're like, I love him. I'm like, wow, girl, settle down.
Well, so you know what? Like, I can imagine most of your life you've been attractive where you've had, and like what I kind of see is like women as they age, they actually like someone who's like a civil engineer who makes like $100,000 a year, which anybody can do that, but a lot of people don't. But like the guy who makes like $100K a year, who doesn't suck, who works out, who's a good person,
doesn't suck.
Like eventually you start looking and you're like, okay, that's actually a good person to like date or marry.
Oh yeah.
But in the days of social media where everything is like that dude isn't even there. Like I got a friend, like he's aerospace engineer.
Yeah.
You know, makes $100,000 a year. He's 6'3", but he's trouble socializing and meeting people. He's a virgin, 30 years old, has never had sex in his life. Now that dude's DNA is great. He's smart. He's a conscientious person, and he can't even get a date because women at his age, at least most of his life, you know, say a few years younger than him, when he was in his 20s, they were looking at Bad Bunny thinking that's cool, or trying to date someone like Bad Bunny who is actually not that successful at all, but just sort of narcissist, and then that's what happens. Women kind of conflate the two, which is why I just started dating around all kind of people, and then somehow it worked. You know, when you don't care and you just go and you just share freely and you don't care, that can generate more of a social. You can have more social interactions that way, and I don't do it but like you can have more that way than like if you work on yourself, if you start your business, you make $180,000 a year. Like that does not like I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I'm 38 years old. I've been single. I've had jobs at universities and colleges and just stuck to my own, and nothing happens. As opposed to when you just like share freely, meet a bunch of people, date a bunch of different girls, even at the same time, you will have, as a man, more social results, which is not even a good thing, but it shows you like when women, especially young women, are left to their own devices, this is what they do, you know? And I'm not even against them, but I mean, like, you can't blame men for behaving a certain way when men behave to what women reward. You know,
absolutely.
Men behave what women reward them to behave like. You know, if just getting a business and getting our engineering degree, you know, if this was, you know, 1950s, that was rewarded.
Mm-hmm. That's what they were.
Not rewarded anymore. It's not rewarded anymore. Now women don't care about that. When women, because you have your own, you can do whatever you want. You know, look, I have friends who are on OnlyFans. I've actually, I can't say too much, but they don't care. They don't like $100,000 a year job or $120,000 a year job. That's not going to do it. Like a woman doesn't care. She'd much rather be free. She can make her own money, and can do whatever she wants. Yeah. And so, and can have a dog. She doesn't even need it.
Be whatever you want to be. Yeah. I mean, it feels you have very broad horizons, and I think other people need to work on that as well. And I think that is happening. And they'll say people like my generation, older generation, were narrow-minded. That's not necessarily the case. Mm-hmm. And nothing you have said is offensive to me. So if I wanted to take the feminist perspective, which a lot of people would, I'd be like, oh my gosh, how dare you say these things? But you're absolutely right on every one of those points. So I'm sorry anyone out in the world that doesn't like this.
But like also like empirically, like I can hang out with one girl. I'll post a little video of me hanging out with her, and then the three girls may message me from it. Three different women, because I posted one girl with an attractive girl. Why wasn't I good enough? You know, just as me as a person. Because it's not necessarily a one woman's fault, but she has to see something maybe, or she's just not. But like as a woman ages, this all gets better. Women have a much better judge of character as they age. 1,000%. Like people our age now, because you've seen enough where you can read someone's energy and be like, okay, he is actually pretty cool. But when you're 23, 24, they can't see that. And those same 23, 24-year-old men are like my friend who's 30 now. Yeah. He's now trying to date those girls, and those girls are ignoring him. He's running a playbook from the 1960s where you became a civil engineer or aerospace. He's an aerospace engineer. And then
sounds amazing.
It sounds amazing.
They claim they want that, but that's not really what they want.
But they don't. They most younger women, and I'm just telling, because I've dated Brazilian women who people would cut their left arm off for. I've had interactions with girls who are 6'2", okay, a lot taller than me. Women want to love, a lot of young women want a love that's like slightly out of reach. They can't, they don't really, they want something that's like, it's a struggle to get, hard to get, and then they have to earn it, and it's you know what I mean?
It's not that healthy, is it?
No. And it's because of like an attachment style. I don't know the psychology. You know a lot more than me, and you know we're like, this is, I didn't expect to talk about this. We have to go right now.
I know, we have to go. I did have a question, but this is just for you to ponder maybe. I was going to ask, with all the pictures of you with women and videos with women, does this affect your ability to continue to date different women? Do they come to you and say, what's wrong with you? Why are you dating so many women? Are you getting judged? Are they avoiding you for it? Are they insulting you? You don't have to answer the question now, but I am genuinely curious, and maybe you can tell me later.
I know you would think people would be like, and some do, and mostly like older women. Most of the older women are like, what the hell is this? Like there's been women that like will message me and they'll be like, like, but even kind of like in a fun way, in a cool way. But what I've learned is the average woman doesn't even want a boyfriend. And they would rather spend time with someone.
There we go.
They would rather spend time with someone who maybe is casually dating or meets a lot of people.
Okay.
And just has a good energy and social life and doesn't really need anything than they would the 30-year-old aerospace engineer who has dedicated his life to try to meet a woman. So it's
a great explanation.
This is the world we're in.
That solves that mystery.
And I'm that, like, my natural essence is someone who's like very sensitive, thoughtful. I was a virgin in my early 20s. My mom raised me to be a virgin, to be very like Christian background, to and I always respect and love everybody, but the playbook that I was raised on and in reality is just not the same. And it's not even a bad thing. It's just accepting it and then moving on. And but yes, but once women get like 40 in their 40s, they're like, what are you doing?
I was just observing it. I was curious how the others were reacting because, we were taught to react. Oh, that's strange. But the younger ones, maybe they think this is actually great because you're not going to be weird now.
But I'm telling you, exactly. I won't be weird. And for women, that is 99% of it right there. I think, like, just don't be weird. Don't be weird. Don't make this weird. And getting past that barrier of like, not a serial killer, not going to make it weird, will at least set you up. Yes. And then people our age, like, do you know how many, like, if I got on the social, sometimes I do. And I mean, women our age, because I'm single and, I'm not a drug addict. There are plenty of women our age I can date. Even though right. I date younger women all the time, I just, you guys have it in your own way terrible because like guys our age are like alcoholics. They have something wrong, or they're actually married, or they're actually married, or they're like in jail. Like you guys don't have it. It's not one way. True. It's not one way or the other. It's not. And I don't think I'm like some beautiful Greek goddess or anything like that. But I at least talk to people, and I love creating. I love expanding. I love meeting people. I like that. I have a podcast. I do stuff. I'm running for Congress.
I saw that
on the platform of liberty. I want maximum freedom. So my platform I want is maximum freedom. We as people should not do anything to harm others. So we do not have the right to violate others' property, their life, their space, and we shouldn't expect any different from the government. Our government should not do anything that harms us, including taxing us, including throwing us in a cage if we don't pay our taxes, including you want the non-aggression principle. If someone isn't hurting you, you do not have a right to put your hands on them or to touch them or to hurt them. And the government should be the same way. As long as people are living and not hurting anybody, and as long as our economy is people are exchanging voluntarily, the government does not have the right to come in and say, "Oh no, you can't do this. We're gonna regulate this. We're gonna set this up where you can't trade with this, or we're gonna tax you." The non-aggression principle, which is, if someone is not violating your property rights, you do not have the right to impede with them. Mm-hmm. And so I'm for maximum freedom. And I love liberty, and I love people. My love of people is why I believe the politics the way that I do.
And I support you. I'm glad you shared your platform. I had asked on your Facebook, and hopefully you share a video where there is more information about your platform, because I would love to hear more. I think we all do.
We have to. So we're there's been a whole thing with the lines. They were trying to get the maps right. I don't know if you've been following
the districts. Yes.
Yeah, the districts.
So what district are you in?
I'm going to run in District 4, which is Sandy South, because that's where I teach and live and work.
Gotcha, right.
And so I want to run there because I'm not going to win, but I can get 5 to 6% of the vote. And
but you can't say I'm not going to win.
Well, I'm running as a libertarian.
Oh,
so
well, that's fine. I have a friend that's running for I don't know, some kind of a county auditor or something like mm-hmm. that, and he's running for as third party. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, I'm in his district. I'll vote for him. Mm-hmm. If I was in yours, I'll vote for him.
Where do you live?
Saratoga Springs.
You're in my district.
Am I?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So
I'm
you can-
voting for
you can
you.
vote for
I'm
me.
voting for you.
You have to ask for, if you can register as a libertarian, ask for a libertarian primary.
I actually
ballot.
do have to re-register
Yeah,
myself.
so re-register as a libertarian, ask for a
Okay.
primary. So if you're in District 4, which is Sandy South in Salt Lake County, so Sandy, Riverton, Harriman, South Jordan, into Lehigh, Saratoga Springs, Eagle Mountain, ask for a libertarian ballot, register as a libertarian, ask for a libertarian ballot. You can vote for me in District 4, and then
and where do you ask?
You call like the lieutenant governor's office. You call the
Can
folks.
it be requested online?
I think you can. That's a great thing to know.
Okay, yeah, let everyone know so we all can get that settled.
I'll have to Google that, but you can Google it as well. And if you can just register as a libertarian, if you can change your party affiliation as to a libertarian, you can vote in the primary first. But if you're in District 4, which is Sandy South, so Sandy, Riverton, Harriman, South Jordan, into Lehigh, Saratoga Springs, Eagle Mountain, I'm in your district, and I'm here to spread freedom. It's going to be a beautiful thing. And it gives you a choice that doesn't have to be just tariffs and war or communism. You actually have a third party which respects freedom, civil abilities to conglomerate how you want to have commerce how you want to, and to just live your life and not live under a tyrannical government. So thank you. And that was great, because
we need
I'm
freedom
gonna use that.
now more than ever. So,
Dude, you're awesome.
Thank you.
You have such a high IQ. Thank
You're
God
sweet.
you had 4 kids, and I can't believe we shared all this as much as we did.
I will. Hopefully, you could use.
I'm
some
a
of
little
it.
tired. I was like ranting and
No, it's
all of
good, but
it.
you got to talk about, and I'm glad. And you really should follow up on that.